The dancing plague of 1518 is a bizarre and mysterious phenomenon that has fascinated historians, medical professionals, and the general public for centuries. In the summer of 1518, hundreds of people in Strasbourg, France began to dance uncontrollably for days on end, and some even died from exhaustion. This event remains one of the most perplexing and unexplained phenomena in human history, and has led to numerous theories and speculations about its cause and significance. To understand the context in which the dancing plague occurred, it's necessary to look at the broader historical background of the time. The late medieval and early modern period in Europe was marked by profound political, social, and economic changes. These changes included the emergence of new technologies, the growth of trading networks, and the spread of new religious ideas. The dancing plague of 1518 occurred during a time of great social and political upheaval in Europe. The period was also marked by frequent outbreaks of disease and epidemics, including the Black Death, which swept through Europe in the 14th century and killed millions of people. These epidemics caused widespread fear and anxiety amongst the population, leading to a climate of social and political instability. Strasbourg, where the dancing plague occurred, was a bustling city in northeastern France, and only a few kilometers from the German border. It was a strategic location due to its proximity to important trade routes and its position as a gateway between France and Germany. The city was diverse with many different ethnic and religious groups, and it was a major center of trade and commerce, with a thriving textile industry and a bustling port that connected the city to other markets across Europe. But it was also a city with a history of social unrest. In the 14th and 15th centuries, the city had been the site of several uprisings by the working class who were unhappy with their low wages and poor working conditions. These uprisings had been brutally suppressed by the city's ruling elite, leaving a legacy of bitterness and resentment among the common people. The most common or significant of these uprisings occurred in 1439, when a group of weavers staged a revolt against the city's ruling council. The weavers were unhappy with their low wages and the high taxes they were forced to pay, and they demanded greater representation in the city's government. This event left a lasting legacy of bitterness and resentment amongst the working class in Strasbourg, and it helped create a climate of social and political tension that persisted for many years. Strasbourg was also caught up in the power struggles between France and the Holy Roman Empire. The city was strategically located on the border between these two powers, and both sides coveted its wealth and influence. Many people in Strasbourg were deeply religious, and they saw the world through the lens of the Catholic doctrine. The Catholic Church played a significant role in shaping the culture and belief of the people of Strasbourg, and it also had a strong presence in the city through its clergy and religious institutions. But it's also worth noting that during this time, there were also other religious movements and dissenting voices emerging in Europe, such as the Protestant Reformation, which challenged the authority of the Catholic Church and led to significant changes in the religious landscape of Europe. In the centuries that followed, humanism, which emphasized the importance of individual freedom and creativity, was also becoming popular amongst the intellectual elite. The printing press had also been invented, which enabled the mass production of books and articles, making it easier to disseminate new ideas and information. Together, these cultural forces created a sense of tension and uncertainty in Strasbourg. People were grappling with the clash between tradition and innovation, between faith and reason. This may have contributed to the sense of unease and anxiety that led to the dancing plague. Paracelsus was a Swiss physician and alchemist who lived in the 16th century. He is well known for his revolutionary theories on medicine and chemistry, as well as his extensive writings on various medical phenomena, including the dancing plague of 1518. Although Paracelsus was not present in Strasbourg during the outbreak, he did write significantly about the phenomenon and about Frau Trophea, the woman who is often cited as the first person to be afflicted. Paracelsus wrote about the dancing plague in his book Opus Paramirium, which was also published in 1530. In his writings, Paracelsus specifically mentioned Frau Trophea as the first person to be afflicted with the dancing plague. Little is known about her life or her background, but it's believed that she was a woman in her 30s married to a local shoemaker. According to Paracelsus, she began to dance on the cobblestone street outside her house on July 14th, 1518. Despite her husband's pleas for her to stop, she continued to dance for hours until she collapsed in exhaustion. The following day, she resumed dancing and kept it up for another 5 days. Her dancing eventually spread to others in the town, and within a month, hundreds of people were affected. Some reports suggest that Frau Trophea may have had a history of mental illness or may have been suffering from a form of mass hysteria. Others have suggested that she may have been poisoned or may have contracted a contagious illness that caused her to dance uncontrollably. Regardless of the cause, Frau Trophea's dancing triggered a chain reaction that led to the widespread dancing that swept throughout Strasbourg in 1518. Her name has become synonymous with the event, and she is often referred to as the patient zero of the dancing plague. Others who joined in would continue to do so for days, even though they were exhausted and in pain. Paracelsus noted that the dancing was not voluntary, but rather seemed to be a compulsion that the dancers could not resist. The clergy, who was primarily composed of the Catholic priests and other religious officials who were responsible for administering the sacraments, providing spiritual guidance to the citizens of the city, and overseeing the religious life of the community, played a significant role in the response to the dancing plague of 1518. They believed that the dancers were possessed by demons or afflicted by a divine punishment. The clergy prescribed a range of religious remedies to try to cure the dancers of the afflictions. One of the most common treatments involved invoking the intercession of Saint Vitus, the patron saint of dancers and those afflicted with nervous disorders. The clergy performed exorcism and other religious rituals to try to drive out the demons that were believed to be cursing the dancers. Some reported suggesting that the clergy even encouraged the dancers to continue their dancing as a way of appeasing the wrath of God and avoiding further punishment. But the religious remedies had little effect on the outbreak. The Privy Council was responsible for maintaining order in the city, as they were the governing body in charge of Strasbourg at the time of the dancing plague. When the first reports of people dancing uncontrollably in the streets began to emerge, the council was initially unsure how to respond. At first, they simply tried to ignore the problem, hoping that it would just go away on its own. But as more and more people joined in, the council became concerned about the potential for public disorder and the risk of injury or death to those involved. They eventually decided to take action to try to stop the dancing. The council's first response was to ban all the music and dancing in the city. They also tried to persuade the dancers to stop by offering them food and water, but this had little effect. In desperation, the council also resorted to more drastic measures. These included bringing in professional dancers and musicians to try to tire out the dancers, and even building a stage in the center of the city where the dancers could continue their dancing in a more controlled environment. As the outbreak continued, the Privy Council decided to take more drastic measures to try to contain the outbreak. One of these measures involved sending Frau Trophea, the woman who had first started the dancing, away in a wagon to the city of Saverne, 30 miles away. The idea behind this decision was that if Frau Trophea was removed from the city, the other dancers would lose their motivation to continue dancing. Despite these efforts, the dancing continued unabated for several more weeks until it finally began to taper off on its own. In the end, it's estimated that as many as 400 people were affected by the dancing plague, and dozens may have died as a result of exhaustion, heart attack, or other related causes. Dancing plague also had wider implications behind Strasbourg. It had attracted the attention of scholars and medical professionals from across Europe, many of whom had come to the region to study the outbreaks and to try to understand what had caused it. This had led to a great deal of interest and speculation about the nature of the disease, and it had also helped to establish the phenomenon as the subject of scientific inquiry. The dancing plague also left a lasting impact on culture and the arts. It inspired many works of literature, art, and music over the centuries, and had become a symbol of its strange and unpredictable forces that shape human behavior. The aftermath of the dancing plague of 1518 was a time of great uncertainty and fear. The loss of life, the psychological impact on the survivors, and the wider implications of the outbreak had left a lasting impact on the community and on the world. Nevertheless, the dancing plague had also inspired curiosity and fascination among scholars, and it had become an enduring symbol of the mysteries that still surround human behavior and the workings of the human mind. While the exact causes of the dancing plague remain unclear, several theories have emerged over the years. One potential cause for the dancing plague of 1518 is ergot poisoning. Now, ergot is a fungus that grows on rye and other grains and can cause hallucinations and other symptoms if ingested in large quantities. Historians have suggested that the bread made from contaminated rye may have caused the dancers to experience hallucinations or other symptoms that led them to dance uncontrollably. Another potential cause is mass hysteria, a phenomenon where a group of people experience similar symptoms without any apparent cause. Mass hysteria has been well documented in various cultures and throughout history, and some experts believe that it may have been a factor in the dancing plague. The social and economic upheaval in Strasbourg at the time also may have contributed to the dancers' behavior. Psychogenic illness is another possible cause for the dancing plague of 1518. Psychogenic illness is a condition where physical symptoms are caused by psychological factors such as stress or anxiety. Dancers may have been caught up in a wave of collective stress and anxiety, leading them to dance uncontrollably. Bad blood, or an imbalance of bodily humors, was a popular medical theory in the Middle Ages and was widely thought to be the cause of the outbreak at the time. The theory goes that the body was made up of four humors: blood, phlegm, yellow bile, and black bile. When the humors were out of balance, it was believed to cause physical symptoms such as convulsions, hallucinations, and other forms of erratic behavior, including dancing uncontrollably. Bad blood was a commonly accepted theory at the time, and many people would have believed that it was a legitimate cause of illness. This belief may have contributed to the spread of the dancing plague, as people may have attributed the dancers' behavior to bad blood rather than seeking other explanations. Finally, some historians believe that the dancing plague may have been a form of spiritual possession. Dancing has long been associated with religious ritual and worship, and some experts believe that the dancers may have been experiencing a form of divine inspiration. The dancing plague of 1518 remains one of the most intriguing and mysterious phenomena in human history. Although there have been various theories put forward to explain the outbreak, none of them can fully account for the sheer scale and intensity of the events that took place in Strasbourg that summer. Nevertheless, the dancing plague of 1518 remains a testament to the strange and unpredictable nature of human behavior and serves as a reminder of the mysteries that still exist in the world today. While we may never know with certainty what caused the dancing plague of 1518, its impact on history and culture cannot be denied. Through the centuries, it has inspired countless works of art and literature, and it remains a symbol of the unexplained and enigmatic forces that shape our lives. That's going to be the end of it. I would love to hear your thoughts and any possible theories for the cause of the dancing plague down in the comments below. I'll be posting these types of videos every week on YouTube, so stay tuned, and I'll see you next time.